Have you ever felt closed, not on the outside, on the inside, closed in your heart, closed to the people around you, maybe even closed to yourself? You wake up and something feels far away. The people you love are right there, but there is distance. The warmth you remember having, the lightness you used to feel, it's gone, and you don't know when it left. Maybe you stopped trusting people after someone hurt you. Maybe you were hurt so many times that your heart learned to stay small to stay safe. Maybe you've been carrying something heavy for so long that you forgot what it felt like to put it down. Today that changes. This lesson is for English learners who want to grow not just in language, but in heart. It is called metta, the practice of loving kindness, an ancient word from the Pali language, one of the oldest languages in the world. Buddhist monks practiced it more than 2,000 years ago. Modern teachers carry it today. And ordinary people in kitchens and offices and quiet bedrooms all around the world are using it right now to change the way they feel, the way they speak, and the way they love. 21 days. That is all this takes. Not 21 days of being perfect, not 21 days of becoming someone else overnight. Just 21 days of sitting quietly, breathing slowly, and choosing a new direction for your heart. And here is the most important thing I want you to know today. Love is not a feeling. Love is a practice. There is no waiting for it to arrive, no hoping it finds you. You train for it. You choose it, one morning at a time. By the end of this lesson, you will understand the 5 circles of metta, the 3 weeks of the journey, and the 4 simple sentences that will slowly, quietly begin to change everything. Not just how you feel, but who you are. If this is what your heart has been waiting for, subscribe right now. There is much more coming for you. Let's begin. Lesson 1. What is metta? The word comes from the Pali language, an ancient language used in Buddhist texts more than 2,000 years ago. Pali is no longer a spoken language, but the words it left behind are still very much alive. Metta means goodwill. It means warmth. It means wishing well for something or someone, including yourself. A teacher named Sharon Salzberg was one of the first people to bring this practice from the East to the Western world. She went to Asia in the 1970s to study meditation when she was still a young woman. What she found there changed her life. She came back and spent the next 50 years teaching metta to ordinary people, not just monks, not just scholars, but regular people who were tired or lonely or lost. She taught that loving kindness is not a sentimental emotion, it is a strength. Listen carefully. Metta is not a mood. Waking up one morning full of love for every person and every difficult situation in your life, that is not what this practice asks. What it asks is much simpler and much more powerful. It asks you to choose a direction every morning, before the noise of the day begins, before the worry, before the rush, before the weight of everything you are carrying. You sit, you breathe, you choose. That is metta. Now, let me also tell you what metta is not, because there are many misunderstandings and I want to clear them before we go further. Being Buddhist is not a requirement. Many people who practice loving kindness are Christian or Muslim or not religious at all. The practice is open to everyone. It asks nothing from your beliefs, only from your attention. Metta is also not toxic positivity. This practice never asks you to pretend that everything is fine. It never asks you to smile through your pain or to tell yourself that hard things are not hard. This practice sees clearly, it sees the difficulty, and then it chooses to respond with warmth rather than with hardness. And metta is not weakness. This is perhaps the most important thing. Many people, especially people who have been hurt, feel that opening their heart again is dangerous, that softness is the same as being foolish, that kindness means giving someone power over you. That is not true. A heart that can love even after pain is not a weak heart. It is the strongest kind of heart there is because it has chosen something difficult and done it anyway. Sharon Salzberg taught this beautifully. She said that love is not something that happens to you. It is a capacity, something you can grow, like a muscle, like a skill, something you build one small practice at a time. That is the lesson today. Metta is a word, a practice, a direction. And for the next 21 days, it will be a choice you make every single morning, not because the world deserves it yet, but because you are ready to become the kind of person who gives it. Lesson 2, why your heart is closed. Not because you are bad, not because you are broken, not because you don't care. Your heart is closed because it learned to be. Let me explain. The human brain is remarkable. It is one of the most complex things in the known universe. And yet, for all its power, it has a simple design problem. It is wired to look for danger. Scientists call this the negativity bias. Your brain pays more attention to bad things than to good things. It remembers pain longer than it remembers joy. It notices what could go wrong before it notices what is going right. This is not a flaw. For thousands of years, this kept our ancestors alive. You notice the snake before you notice the flower. You survive. But we are not running from snakes anymore. And that same system, the one designed to protect you, is now the thing making it hard to stay open, to trust, to love without fear. Every time you were disappointed, your brain made a note. Every time you were rejected, your brain drew a small wall. Every time you opened up and someone hurt you, your brain said quietly, remember this. Be careful next time. And so you became careful. You became guarded, not because you wanted to, but because it felt safer. Here's the truth. A closed heart is not a strong heart. It is a scared heart. And there is no shame in that. Fear is human. Protection is human. But the walls we build to keep pain out also keep love out. And after a while, we forget we built them. They just feel like who we are. A Vietnamese monk and teacher named Thich Nhat spent his life teaching about love and understanding. He taught that to love is to understand, not to agree with everything, not to approve of everything, but to see clearly, to really look at another person or at yourself and understand what they are carrying. Most of us were never taught how to do that. We were taught how to work hard, how to be polite, how to succeed. But the language of the heart, the practice of opening, of softening, of truly seeing, that was not in the lesson plan. So we grew up and our hearts grew careful. I think of a woman I once heard about. She had been through a painful separation, the kind that leaves you not just lonely, but ashamed. She looked in the mirror every morning and said, nothing kind. She cooked for her children, went to work, smiled at her neighbors. She did everything right on the outside. And inside, she was empty. She had forgotten how to be gentle with herself. We will come back to her story later because it matters. because it ends differently than it begins. But for now, I want to ask you something. You have been kind to strangers, kind to your friends, kind to people who did not even ask. But have you been kind to yourself? Not performed kindness, not the kind you show when people are watching, but quiet, private, real kindness. The kind that lives in your own mind, in your own voice, in the way you speak to yourself when no one else can hear. A closed heart waits to feel love before giving it. An open heart gives love first and lets the feeling follow. Metta teaches you how to give first, starting with yourself. That is where we begin. Lesson 3, the 5 circles in the 21-day map. Now we get to the practice itself. I want to show you the structure. I want you to see the whole picture before we walk into it one step at a time. Metta is practiced in 5 circles. Think of them like rings on water. You drop a stone in the center and the rings move outward. Each circle is wider than the one before. Each one asks a little more of you, and each one makes you a little more open. Let me make this simple. Circle 1 is you. You are the center, the stone in the water. Everything begins here. Circle 2 is your loved ones, the people whose names come to mind when you close your eyes. Your family, your close friends, the people you would do anything for. Circle 3 is neutral people, people you see but don't really know. The person who makes your coffee, the man you pass on the street every morning, the woman at the front desk. People who exist in your life but you have never thought much about. Circle 4 is the difficult person, the one who hurt you, the one whose name still tightens something in your chest. This is the hardest circle and the most important one. Circle 5 is all beings, every living thing. People in cities you will never visit. People whose language you don't speak. People whose lives look nothing like yours. All of them. 21 days, 3 weeks, 5 circles. Week 1, days 1 to 7, you direct your metta inward, to yourself, only yourself. Week 2, days 8 to 14, you expand. You send loving kindness to your loved ones, then to neutral people, and finally, you begin to move toward the difficult person. Week 3 days, 15 to 21, you open completely. You send metta to the world, to all beings, without limit. And the way you do it is with 4 sentences. 4 simple sentences that you say slowly, quietly, and with your full attention. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live with ease. That is the whole practice. 4 sentences said each morning, directed circle by circle over 21 days. In week 1, you change the words slightly. You say may I instead of may you. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live with ease. Because the first week is yours. Most people love when it is easy. When the other person is kind, when the relationship feels simple, when nothing has been broken. Metta practitioners love when it is hard. Better people is not what they are. They practice because they have practiced. They have trained their heart the same way an athlete trains their body. Slowly, deliberately, day after day. If you can say these words to yourself, if you can mean them even a little, if you can say them again tomorrow, when it still feels strange, you are practicing. That is enough. Feeling love immediately is not the goal. There is no need to cry or feel warm or have a spiritual experience. The only requirement is to show up, say the words, and let the practice do what practice does over time. If this lesson is reaching something in you right now, if something here feels important, subscribe to this channel. There is so much more coming, and you deserve to keep growing. Let's continue. Lesson 4, Week 1, the hardest thing you will do. I want to tell you something that might surprise you. The hardest circle of metta is not the difficult person. It is not the stranger or the enemy or the one who broke your trust. The hardest circle, the one where most people stop, is the very first one, yourself. When people sit down for the first time and try to say, "May I be happy," something unexpected happens. They feel awkward. They feel silly. Some people feel nothing at all. And some people feel something much harder than nothing. They feel grief because somewhere along the way, they stopped believing they deserved it. We are very generous with our expectations of ourselves. We demand that we be strong, productive, forgiving, patient, and kind. But when it comes to receiving that kindness from our own minds in our own private moments, we go quiet. There is a reason for this. The same negativity bias we talked about earlier. The brain's habit of looking for what is wrong turns inward. We become our own harshest judge. We replay our mistakes. We count our failures. We tell ourselves that when we are better, when we have done enough, when we have fixed what is broken, then we will be worthy of softness. That day never comes. Now think about this. Real kindness to yourself is not a reward for good behavior. It is not something you earn. It is something you practice every morning before you have done anything at all, before you have proven yourself to anyone. You sit down, you say the words even before you feel them, because you are choosing to train your heart to feel them. Let me tell you about the woman I mentioned earlier. Her name does not matter. What matters is that you might recognize her. After a painful separation, she was left with 2 children, an empty apartment, and a voice inside her head that would not stop. Not an angry voice, just a quiet, heavy one. The kind that says, "You should have done better. You should have been more. This is what you deserve." Every morning she got up and did what needed to be done. She was a good mother, a careful employee, a kind neighbor, but she had not been kind to herself in years. She did not even know that was possible. A friend suggested metta. She was skeptical. She sat on the edge of her bed, closed her eyes, and felt completely foolish. She said quietly, "May I be happy?" Nothing happened. She said, "May I be healthy?" Still nothing. She almost stopped. It felt too strange, too small, too far from where she was. But she came back the next morning, and the morning after that. By day 4, something shifted. Not dramatically, not all at once. It was more like the way light changes in a room when someone opens a curtain very slowly. She did not feel happy yet, but she felt something loosen, something she had been holding for a very long time. She sat, she breathed, she spoke the words, and slowly, slowly, something began to soften. By day 7, she told her friend, "I don't know what happened, but I feel less like my own enemy." That is what week 1 does. It does not make you love yourself completely. It does not fix the past or erase the mistakes. It simply begins to interrupt the pattern. The old voice that said you were not enough starts to meet a new one. Quiet at first, uncertain, but present. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live with ease. Say them slowly. Say them in a quiet place. Say them even when they feel untrue, especially when they feel untrue. Love is not a feeling. Love is a practice. And this is where yours begins. Lesson 5, Week 2, Sending Love to Others. By day 8, something has already begun to change. Maybe you don't feel it yet. Maybe you do. But after 7 days of sitting quietly and wishing yourself well, something in you has shifted even slightly. You are a little less at war with yourself, a little softer. And that softness is exactly what you need for what comes next. Week 2 is where you expand. You begin with your loved ones. You close your eyes, you breathe, and you call someone to mind. Your mother, your partner, your oldest friend, someone whose face you love. And you say the words, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease. For most people, this comes easily. These are people you already love. The practice is simply giving that love a voice, a form, a direction. Something new is not being created. Only what already lives inside you is being offered. But then comes the neutral person. This is where it gets interesting. Think about someone you see regularly but barely notice. The man at the coffee shop who knows your order. The woman on the bus who always sits near the window. The young person at the supermarket checkout. You don't know their name. You don't know their story. They are simply part of the background of your life. Now look closer. That person woke up this morning with something on their mind. They have a family or they don't. They have worries or hopes or both. They have a life as full and complicated as yours. And they have never once crossed your mind. Listen closely. This is one of the quiet gifts of metta. It teaches you to see, to really see the people around you. Not just the ones you have chosen to love, but all of them. The invisible ones. The ones we walk past every single day without a thought. When you send metta to a neutral person, you are practicing the art of noticing. You are saying, you matter even though I don't know you. You deserve happiness even though I may never learn your name. This is what a teacher named Jack Kornfield has spent his life teaching. He helped build one of the most important meditation centers in the Western world, and he has guided thousands of people through loving kindness practice. He often teaches that the circle of the difficult person is the one that transforms us most. Not the loved ones, not all beings, the one person whose name we carry in our chest like a stone. We will go there in the next lesson. But first, let me tell you about a man named David. David worked in an office, and for 3 years, he could not stand one of his colleagues. The way the man spoke in meetings, the way he took credit for work that was not his, the way he made David feel invisible. David carried this feeling home every evening. It sat at the dinner table with him. It kept him awake at night. When he began week 2 of metta, he started as the practice asks. He sent love to his mother. He sent love to a stranger at the bus stop near his office. He even sent love to the man at work he could not stand. The practice asked him to. And so he did. Something unexpected happened. On the fifth morning of that week, David had a quiet thought. What if that man is also afraid? What if his behavior, the loudness, the need to be seen, the need to take credit, what if all of it comes from something broken inside him? David did not suddenly like his colleague. That was not what changed. What changed was the hatred. It loosened. It lost its grip. And David realized he had been carrying something heavy for 3 years that did not belong to him. People who react say, "You made me angry." People who practice say, "I choose how I respond." Metta does not make you passive. It does not ask you to agree with what someone did or to pretend the hurt was not real. It simply removes the weight from your chest and gives you back your own peace. That is a gift no one else can give you. Only the practice can. Lesson 6, the hardest step. Let's talk about circle 4, the difficult person. Maybe you already know who yours is. Maybe their name came to you the moment I said the words. Maybe it has been sitting in the back of your mind since. Lesson 3, the person who left, the person who lied, the one who made you feel small, the parent who was never there, the friend who betrayed you, the one who took something from you that you can never fully get back. This is the circle most people want to skip, and I understand that. Sending love to someone who hurt you can feel like a betrayal of yourself. Like you are saying what you did was fine. I forgive you. I am okay with all of it. That is not what metta asks. Hear me on this. Sending loving kindness to a difficult person is not forgiveness. It is not agreement. It is not pretending the hurt was not real. It is something much more personal than any of those things. It is choosing to stop carrying them. Right now, if there is someone in your life who hurt you, someone you carry, anger or sadness or resentment toward that person is with you every day. They are in the room when you wake up. They are in your mind when you sit in traffic. They live in the quiet space between your thoughts, and they are taking up room you need for yourself. Metta does not set them free. It sets you free. Scientists who study the brain have found something remarkable about compassion practice. When people train themselves to send kindness toward difficult people, the parts of the brain connected to empathy and emotional balance do not weaken. They grow. The more you practice opening toward others, even the ones who hurt you, the stronger your emotional center becomes. Not weaker, stronger. This is what neuroplasticity means. Your brain changes based on what you practice. The brain you train for anger becomes a more reactive brain. The brain you train for kindness becomes a calmer, steadier, more open brain. And that calmer brain changes everything around it. Your words, your reactions, your relationships. If the person who hurt you still lives rent-free in your mind, if their name still tightens something in your chest, if you still replay that moment at 3 a.m. when the room is quiet, metta is for you right now. Let me tell you about a young man named Kai. Kai was 24 years old and he was angry. Not the loud kind of angry, the quiet, permanent kind. The kind that sits just below the surface and comes out at the wrong moments. He had grown up with a father who was never gentle, who had high expectations and no softness, who had never once told him that he had done well. Kai had tried to move on. He had told himself the past was over, but the anger stayed. It moved into his friendships. It made him short with people he loved. It made him pull away when things got close. A therapist suggested meditation. He found metta. He started with himself, as the practice asks, then the people he loved, then strangers. And then one morning in week 2, he sat down and asked himself a question he had never asked before. What if I tried to send love to my father? Not to excuse him, not to pretend the childhood was something other than what it was, but to try. He said the words slowly. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And then he sat in silence. And he felt something he had not expected. Not warmth, not yet, but grief. The grief of a child who had wanted something that never came. And in that grief, something released. A tired mind says, I am broken and I deserve this pain. A trained mind says, I am human. May I be gentle with myself today. Kai was not healed in one morning, but something began. A door he had kept shut for years opened just a little. And the light that came through was enough to take the next step. That is what Circle 4 does. It does not erase the past. It loosens its hold on your present. Lesson 7, Week 3, The World and What Changes. You have made it to the final week. Take a moment to recognize that. Most people never finish what they begin. Most people stop when it becomes uncomfortable. You are still here. And that means something about who you are choosing to become. Week 3 asks the most of you, and it gives the most back. In the final 7 days, you expand beyond everyone you know, beyond your family, your friends, the stranger at the coffee shop, beyond even the person who hurt you. You send metta to the world, to people in cities you will never visit, to people whose language you cannot speak, to people who are suffering right now in ways you cannot imagine, to people who would not recognize you on the street, to people who are in this very moment doing exactly what you are doing, sitting quietly, trying to be better, trying to love more fully than they have before. Stay with me. There is a fear that many people feel when they reach this stage. They worry that love is like a cup of water, that if they give too much, if they pour too much out, they will run out, that caring for everyone will leave nothing for the people closest to them. This fear is understandable, but it is not accurate. What longtime practitioners and researchers of compassion have found is the opposite. Compassion does not deplete, it builds. When you practice wishing well for all beings, not just the easy ones, not just the ones you have chosen, something inside you gets larger, not smaller. The ancient teachers understood this. That is why Circle 5 is not an afterthought. It is the destination, because it is only when you can hold the whole world in a warm mind, even briefly, even imperfectly, that you understand what this practice has been building inside you all along. And here is what changes. After 21 days of metta, people do not become different people. They do not float through life without difficulty. They still get frustrated. They still make mistakes. Their relationships are still complicated. The world is still hard. But something has shifted in how they move through all of it. They react slower. Not because they stop feeling things, but because there is now a small space between the feeling and the response. And in that space, they choose, they pause, they breathe, and they decide who they want to be in this moment. They listen deeper, not just waiting for their turn to speak, but actually hearing the person in front of them, hearing what is not being said, hearing the fear under the frustration, the longing under the anger, and their relationships breathe again. There is less pressure, less demand, because a person who has practiced loving kindness for 21 days has already given something to themselves. They are no longer looking for others to fill what is empty. They have begun to fill it themselves. Those who blame the world say they don't deserve my kindness. Those who practice say, my kindness is not about what they deserve. It is about who I am choosing to be. That is the whole lesson, right there. Metta is not practiced for other people. It is not practiced because the world has earned it. It is practiced because the kind of person you want to be, the version of yourself that is calm, open, and free, that person is built one morning at a time, one breath at a time, one quiet sentence at a time. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live with ease. These are not just words for other people. They are words for the world. And the world begins with you. It begins in the room where you wake up. It moves through every conversation you have, every person you look at, every moment you choose softness over hardness, presence over distance, love over fear. Love is not a feeling. Love is a practice, and you have been practicing. We have come to the end. Let me bring you back to where we began. You showed up here because something in you was ready, ready to stop being closed, ready to try something different, ready to practice, even when it felt strange, even when the words felt too small for everything you were carrying. Over the last 7 lessons, you have learned more than a meditation technique. You have learned a map, 21 days, 5 circles, 4 sentences, and 3 shifts that will quietly, permanently change the way you live. The first shift is in how you see yourself, not through the eyes of your mistakes, not through the voice that counts everything wrong, through something softer, through the part of you that learned to sit down, breathe, and say, I am human. I am trying. That is enough. The second shift is in how you treat others. A kind of seeing begins. Past the surface, past the behavior, past the frustration, all the way to the person underneath. The fear under the anger, the longing under the silence. Someone who really listens, who shows up fully, people feel that. They always do. The third shift is in how you move through the world. Slower, less caught by every storm, more rooted in something no one can take from you. The practice you have built, the heart you have trained, the kindness you have chosen morning after morning before the day had a chance to make you hard again. After 21 days, you will not be perfect, but you will be softer, and that softness will change your life. One question before you go. Which circle of metta do you find the hardest? Yourself, a difficult person, or the stranger you have never really noticed? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if this lesson gave you something real, something worth carrying into tomorrow, please share it with someone who needs it. You may not know who that person is yet, but your heart does. Love is not a feeling. Love is a practice. Keep listening, keep learning English, and let your heart grow. See you in the next lesson.